Hi, everyone. My name is John Doring, and this is ZoomTRAK. Good Saturday afternoon, all of you in scalers everywhere, and welcome to the December 2025 edition of ZoomTRAK by NRail. NRail is the organization promoting in-scale model railroading, including N-TRAK, T-TRAK, Fremo-N, club layouts, home layouts, no layouts, whatever your pleasure. If it's in scale, you're in the right place. NRail is all about the knowledge, camaraderie, and joy of model railroading, and of course, in the normal scale. So again, welcome everyone. Great lineup this Saturday afternoon to share with you. We'll start off with an update on what's going on for the Chattanooga Convention with Bruce Arbo. Then we'll talk about Club Focus. This month it's the Great River Valley System, and Mark Smith is with us. We have an update on the Sayre project, the next step there with Chuck Peterson, and a Talking T-TRAK with Terry Moore. So lots to do. We'll have a poll at the
When I
end.
get to 310, let me know.
So let's start off with Bruce Arbo and Chattanooga. Bruce, it's all yours.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. I'm assuming you can hear me.
Perfect.
Great, great. I'm gonna leave my face on here for just a moment, and then I'm gonna go ahead and share the website photograph. I'm Bruce Arbo. I'm I am a member of NRail, of course, have been for many years. I'm president of the Coastal Alabama T-TRAK Association, and of course, co-founder of the National T-TRAK Layout uh, organization that Fei Chen and myself basically formed after 2017. We were invited to do a T-TRAK layout at the NMRA convention in Orlando back then. Since then, we've set the world record T-TRAK Kansas City 2018. Bruce Alcott Wells knows that. He was involved, and NRail was a big part of our sponsorship back then. I do want to introduce over my right shoulder here Denise, my wife Denise. She's been also instrumental in helping us put on these things. But I'm here to talk for about 10 minutes about what's going on this coming year, 2026 at the National Train Show, the NMRA Convention's National Train Show on August 1st and the 2nd, as part of the Scenic Express NMRA Convention, which will be held in Chattanooga from July 27th through Saturday, August the 1st. Andy Zimmerman, your interim NRail president, of course, is a big T-tracker down here in Tallahassee, about 3 hours away from me on coastal Alabama. And I have talked for years and years about perhaps trying to get another world record T-TRAK in the books. And with his insight on where the National Model Railroad Convention was going to be held, pushing for a Southeast Regional Convention, he indicated that they were thinking about Chattanooga in 2026. Once that happened, that was a good 2.5 years ago, we made the decision to go ahead. All right, this is the best opportunity as they need to go ahead and start breaking the world record again that we set in Kansas City 2018. 340 individual modules took place in that world record. And the website, which I'll go ahead, I think let's see. I think I'm going to share this. If everybody can see that, hopefully. The National T-TRAK layout card.
No, not yet.
Right there.
Oh.
That has the website at the far bottom of it. It's all the history of what happened. But basically, we decided that 2026 was going to be the best opportunity to go ahead and break the world record again. So we started planning on that. The first thing to do was get the space for the NRail. 2 years, 2.5 years was not too early to do that. I need to remind everybody now who's just now trying to get space at the train show that, you kind of early bird gets the worm, man. You got to get ahead of this. They were wonderful enough to give us a basically 10,000 square feet to break the record. So our mission then was to put together a planning committee of people who knew what they were doing, especially DCC, people who had experience in T-TRAK and larger layouts across the United States, and get this ball rolling. And we've had monthly Zoom meetings for the planning committee since then. And I got to tell you, 2 years was perfect time to start this because we're well on our way now. Basically, what we got here are the stats. We filled up the layout within 8 months of announcing. So the layout has been full the capacity for almost a year now. We're still accepting participants without modules. We have 160 plus participants registered. It's free to register participants. 150 plus are bringing modules for the layout. But we want all the help we can get. And to be a full participant means you get to operate on the layout. You get full participatory benefits, including all the freebies and all the prizes and contests that we're going to be having during the train show. 340 individual modules was what we had at the previous record in Kansas City. We have 880 individual modules of all sizes for this event in Chattanooga. If you were to equate those to single equivalent modules, there are 1,207 single equivalent modules forming this layout. Again, 10,000 square feet, that's 100 by 100, and we're making maximum use of it. The estimated mainline run, which we're calling the Scenic City Route, named after Chattanooga and the convention, is going to be over 71.4 square miles. So one of the contests we're only having one module contest. That's going to be put on by our sponsor, Scale Trains, but we're having many other contests. And one of them is going to be awarded cars for anyone who can actually navigate nonstop the entire 71.4 scale mile scenic city route. And that means no bathroom breaks, no handing your throttle off to someone else. It's estimated now that it's going to take approximately 2 hours at a scale of 45 miles per hour to navigate the entire layout. So, and that's not including captive inner yellow loops where they exist on many peninsulas. So if you go to the website right there, that's listed on that postcard that I have on the line. It's at the very bottom. It's basically www.nationaltttraklayout.com. You'll be able to see all the information associated with that. The things I wanted to again mention today is that participation is still open to anyone who's going to be in Chattanooga for that train show who wants to participate. And again, lots of freebies by participating. You're getting a swag bag full of goodies from all of our sponsors. Lots of free door prize giveaways throughout the entire train show. Lots of raffles for big ticket items that have been donated by our many sponsors. And we're continuing to get more and more sponsors who want to be a part of this historic event. It's definitely going to be getting a lot of press. Now, Denise is going to be in charge of doing all of these raffles and the door prizes and getting sponsors together. And she's going to be running around like a chicken with a head cut off during this entire show. And she's also recruiting teams of helpers. So anybody who's going to the convention who may not be in the layout, but maybe wants to help participate with something like that, I would ask you to contact us at the website and get in touch with Denise. Her information is on the website as well. She was instrumental in doing that with us at Kansas City, as everybody probably well knows who attended the Kansas City thing. Another thing we're doing, and this is our main sponsor, Scale Trains, who stepped up and became a main sponsor of us over a year and a half ago. Shane Wilson decided that he wanted to be a big part of this, and he is providing uh, a excellent prize for the best, really the best in show module contest. It's going to be a beautiful trophy and a $250 gift certificate from Scale Trains for the winner of that best module contest. But not only that, he's assisting us with an awards breakfast banquet on Sunday morning, the last day of the train show, right there at the Marriott Convention Center, where the train show is going to be held at the exhibit hall right there. Um, Ostensibly and originally, we had wanted this to be just a T-TRAK layout participant event only. But talking to Shane, we want to open it up to as many people who are interested as possible. All the NRail conventioneers are going to be welcome to do the banquet. And I would like to invite anybody here, anybody in NRail who has even just interest in fellowshipping with fellow Nscalers or even more T-TRAK associated. Um, Go ahead and submit your ticket request. It's $45 a ticket. The first 150 people who sign up and pay are going to be awarded a special Scale Trains commemorative car created just for the occasion. Actually, Shane kind of hinted he might go a little bit more than just the first 150. I can tell you we have 110 signed up now. So there's really close to 50, maybe more spots left for that commemorative car if you go ahead and sign up. You can find that again at the website under Chattanooga 2026 extra fare items. That's where you can go ahead and buy your breakfast ticket. And there are also a lot of goodies that are helping us raise money for the table rental that we're going to be needing. We're going to be using 228-foot tables. So we don't get those free. So we've been raising money over the last year and a half to pay for those tickets, excuse me, for those tables. So some of the items on the extra fare, you might have seen in the newsletter, just this last newsletter, an extended length rerailer with the T-TRAK logo and the National T-TRAK Layout logo. It's an 11-inch rerailer for those long locomotives. I think of the big boy, or I think of articulated cars and well car sets. They work beautifully that. We got a commemorative tumbler available there, plus an excellent logo T-TRAK module tool to help you get all the spacing correct when you build your T-TRAK module. But that's basically it. Right now, I'm going to send NRail
Right.
the, the layout, which has just been redone in the Tony Guerrero software by Jamie Valdez of Albany, Georgia. And Tony's well aware of that as well. We're going to convert it to PDF as well, so it'll be easy to see on the website. But that'll give you an idea of what we got. But that's basically it. That's what I wanted to let you know of all the news and the things
Fantastic.
that are going on.
Bruce, that's awesome. That is really that's going to be really a lot of fun
Yep.
to see and to participate with. I got a chance to see what you did in Kansas City, and that was amazing. And as I remember in Kansas City, kind of stuck with me. T-TRAK module won the best of show module for the whole convention.
It's kind of been funny that
Yeah,
way, John. It's uh, even up at N-Scale Altoona, T-TRAK modules won best in show. It's kind of happening that way. It's kind of weird, but I'll take it. We'll see what
that,
happens in July.
that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much. We're all looking forward to it, and we
Take
appreciate the
care.
update.
Visit the website.
All right, we'll do it. All
All
right.
right, bye-bye.
Fantastic. Okay, next up, let's talk about the Great River Valley System Club. Mark, your turn.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and greetings from frigid Minnesota. It was a 20 below wind chill
Whew.
this morning, so uh, yeah, we're still thawing out a little bit. Um, I'll give you a little history of the club. I am on the leadership team. We decided no one wants to be a president, so I guess they didn't want the responsibility or whatever. But we have a leadership team of 4 people that has a rotating membership as well. So we don't have a really good written history of what's happened in the organization. I know it started in I believe, the late 80s, and it started meeting in the basement of a tailor shop that was related to someone. Later, the organization moved into meeting in homes and then to school as it grew, and we are now meeting in libraries. Unfortunately, the history is gone with many members who have gone to that train show in the sky. So now we are currently about 15 members, a little more. We are an NRail super club. We do both NTRAK, T-TRAK, and just recently have decided to add a Fremo N division. Some members are now working on some new modules for that division. As far as what the club does, the club owns corners for the NTRAK. It owns bus lines for the T-TRAK, and it owns our DCC equipment, not the throttles, but the command stations and so on. We rent a storage unit, which is our only permanent space. Other than that, we kind of go where we can find space, which generally is in libraries and show formats. We wind up doing about a little over 12 shows a year. If I can share my screen, I'll send you to the website here. Maybe. There we go. It's greatrivervalleysystem.org. And on that, we keep up a list of shows coming up. We have a show coming up next weekend at the Twin Cities Model Railroad Museum. They have night trains with Santa, and we get a room off to the side and help entertain people waiting to see Santa. And then we keep a listing of what's going on in the area around us. Our meetings are also listed there and their location. So people can come and just check us out if we want. We just had a holiday dinner.
Mark, your screen isn't sharing.
Pardon?
The screen isn't sharing. We still got you, not the screen, not the website.
Oh, all right. I didn't get to share, huh? Well,
Green button on the bottom.
I got it now. How's
There you
that?
Looks like it's coming. There.
There we go.
Yeah, there you
Sorry about that. They changed things a little bit up on me since I've last shared screens on thing, I think anyway. Either that or my memory's failed. Anyway, there you can see on the right side is our list of events, our meetings, our shows, our flea markets, and then conventions coming up. And we have to get the National T-TRAK convention on there, or on there. You can, the members are private, but you can look at the modules from that people own. There's our corners, but if you're looking just to see what kind of modules are in the club, you're welcome to look at that as well. At this point, I just want to move to show you some slides, because if you're like me, I like to see what other people have done as far as their modules, and I'll do a little narration as I do that to kind of fill out my 10 minutes and do a little more explanation of the club as we go along. So with that, we had we sponsored a train show with Choo Choo Bob for several years. Choo Choo Bob was a local kids show that ran that was all about trains. So this was one of our layouts. We had a U-shaped layout with a baggage wagon in the center. One of our past members. So you may see some slides that you've seen before. You may see pictures of my grandchildren, since they have created their own T-TRAK modules and regularly participate in club activities. Our membership is family membership and extended family membership. So we have many people that bring their children and grandchildren to events as well as sometimes to meetings. Our dues are set at $35 a month. That includes our storage and includes membership to NRail. So we meet monthly, starting with a social time that lasts about 15, 20 minutes, and then a brief business meeting, and then end with a clinic of some type. There's a good power station. Dan in the background of that picture is one of our oldest members, as far as one of the nearly founding members. I don't think, not quite, but so much. We also did shows at the Union Depot in St. Paul, which is a restored depot. You can see we tended to attract quite a few crowds around that. It's a beautiful depot. If you get to the Twin Cities in Minnesota, take a look at the depot. You can walk through there and see it. It is an operating depot. Amtrak still runs trains through there. T-TRAK has been more popular lately, but we still have several members who do NTRAK, and now, of course, we're adding the Fremo N. So we hope to gather some more interest and some more talent to share. Our meetings are always open to anybody who's just exploring what's going on in the NTRAK world. So if somebody's in the Twin Cities or nearby, feel free to come to a meeting, check us out, see what's going on. Just a few more that we have. Oh, one of the things that we do is we encourage sometimes to have our junior engineers, and we teach them how to run the trains and supervise them as they run the throttle. And this little guy has his junior engineer badge on already. And of course, our holiday dinner. This was not this last time, but at one point a few years ago, we did a holiday dinner, and the desserts were passed around on a O-scale train layout. And people do some really nice work. That's when I was a bit younger, and my now 13-year-old grandson is on my shoulders there. I'm guessing you can't see him really. Another one of our junior engineers. And of course, not everything goes smoothly on NTRAK layouts or anytime we have a show. I'm sure you've all discovered that. We jokingly say you need a breath test when that happens. We set up in multiple places. That's my 13-year-old done. There's a story about him coming up. We set up in multiple places, from libraries to shows. We do the Great Train Show. We do several local shows around town. Okay, so here's the story about the little grandson. That's Engineer Emily and Engineer Paul, and they're part of the show. And he was a fan of the Choo Choo Bob show, and it got to be time to do something. I said, "Come on, let's go get something easy." He said, "Where's Engineer Emily?" And she said, we asked around. They said, "Oh, she's gone to lunch." He said, "I'll wait." And so he's the only member of GRVS that got a hug from Engineer Emily, and some of the younger guys were really jealous of that. That is not scale. That is the engine 261, but it lives in the Twin Cities. So if you get here and get a chance to ride that, it's a beautiful train to ride. Couple more pictures as we go through, and then I will end my thing with any questions.
Any questions, folks? Mark, are you guys connected at all to the? I've run into, and in other places some people that are part of a Fremo N-Scale group out of the Twin Cities?
We have a couple members that are in that. Um,
Okay, great.
that group has not traveled as much. We have members that want to travel more and join other groups, and that's part of the
Gotcha.
reason we started that. And one of our members is Brett Isaacs of Goldilocks
Yeah,
fame, who's one of the sponsors of this program as well.
fantastic. Well, that's great. Super. I'm involved with the club here in New England and Massachusetts, and I see a lot of similarities. So,
Well, maybe you'll be next up then.
well, fantastic. Thank you very much for the update and letting us know. And next time I'm in the Twin Cities, I'm gonna look you guys up.
That sounds like a plan. Thank you.
All right, next up, it's back to the Sayre project with Chuck Peterson. Chuck, you ready to go? Just need to get you off mute. There you go.
Okay, I'm off mute, so I guess that means I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go.
Okay, I will start by sharing my screen here. Well, that's not the screen I was wanting to share.
Make sure you share the right one.
Maybe that's it. That looks right.
Looks right.
That's it.
Okay, well, introduce myself. My name is Chuck Peterson. I am with the Oklahoma NRail organization in Oklahoma City, and I was asked to give a presentation, which would be the third in our series of 3 on our module that we did of Sayre, Oklahoma. Okay, so let's see. Where and why did we do a module on Sayre, Oklahoma? The next item we'll talk about is our prototype for Sayre, module preparation, layout design, layering in our scenery, and then any detailed scenery additions, including have a bar ditch, the trees, bushes, and weeds, and other things. Okay, where and why Sayre? Sayre is located out in western Oklahoma. It's a railroad town that was founded in 1901 with the arrival of the Choctaw, Oklahoma, and Gulf Railroad. I'm sure you all are familiar with that particular railroad system. That'd be the Cog Railroad if you look at the initials. It's also lies on Route 66, which is about to have its 100th year anniversary, Route 66. So if you are interested in taking a good road trip, do Route 66 next year for the anniversary. Anyway, Sayre is about 120 miles west of Oklahoma City. It's also the county seat for Beckham County, Oklahoma. Now, it was founded by railroad executive Robert H. Sayre. He was the chief engineer for the Lehigh Valley Railroad. Well, that's a long way from Oklahoma, isn't it? Well, anyway, somehow he became a stockholder in the Choctaw, Oklahoma, and Gulf Railroad. Obviously, he was probably a pretty good sized stockholder, and they ended up naming the town after him. Okay, so you all know where Sayre is, way out west of Oklahoma City. It's kind of in the flatlands area. You can see a couple of pictures of Sayre. It's really got very little topography, anything, but it does have some interesting buildings downtown that you might have seen back in the 20s and 30s being built. Anyway, we ended up modeling Sayre for our 2022 model contest that Walthers put on. And as it turned out, Walthers actually had several kits that you could choose from to do your modeling for your contest entry. And one of our members who lived out in western Oklahoma identified that one of the kits had some structures that really looked similar to structures that he was familiar with in Sayre. So we thought, well, we'll give it a try. Got to see what we can do. Sayre doesn't look terribly exciting, but we'll see. Anyway, as far as the prototype, here's the railroad station, the Rock Island Railroad Station, built in 1927. It's built as an Italian Renaissance revival. It was included in the National Register of Historic Places in June of 2000. Actually, right now, I think it houses the Historical Museum in Sayre. Also out there, another comparable kit structure was the Oscar Houghton grain elevator, which was established in about 1918. There's a picture of Oscar Houghton over here on the right side, and he passed away several years ago. So I was unable to contact him to find out how in the heck do you pronounce your last name. So I gave it the best I could here. If anybody has any way of pronouncing his last name better than I do, I'm all ears. Okay, the initial module preparation and layout design. I think it's a 4 foot by 2 foot deep module. It's set up as a one-track type module, one rail that goes is a through track. With that, we were able to lay down a road bed here that you can see near the top out of 1/8 inch wood for Route 66. And then with that, we were able to cut a bar ditch just on the side of the road like you typically see out in western Oklahoma. We painted the surface of the module to seal the wood, and then I applied fast mache into the bar ditch to line it. Well, to do the bar ditch, we actually had to use some extruded styrofoam that we glued to the bottom of the module, and that way I could actually carve out into the styrofoam to deepen the ditch a little bit more. We glued down the main road bed and line that went through the module. And then we started developing our plans for our placement of the buildings along the track. You can see the railroad station on the left side. Again, that's a module that was provided by the contest holder, and also the same buildings over here on the right side. Then we applied a 1/8 inch plywood sheeting for the locations of where those buildings were. And the reason we did that was to bring the ground level up to the track height, which is typically seen through these real flat areas. Once we got the buildings placed, I applied what am I trying to think of? It's fast mache. Same thing I used in the bar ditch. I colored it a red dirt color and applied that to all ground areas, that free ground areas, to make a little bit more realistic looking ground. Then I also applied a fine coating of red soil, dust that I sprinkled onto there to give it a more realistic look. Then we colorized that bar ditch with a kind of a bluish green color to represent stagnant water that might be in the bar ditch left from a rainwater runoff. Then I started on painting of the backboard, since we knew where all the buildings and the highway were. And I know that roadway there on the left side going off into the distance looks a little funky, but it changes as your perspective moves around the module. Here you can see how the roadway looks a little better as far as being aligned. Anyway, we after gluing the sieve dust down, we applied some grass, a fine grass, woodland scenics, light green fine grass, and then also finished painting the backboard to represent the trees and other things. There's a few buildings that you can see in there. Then we affixed the buildings in place, just glued them down. Then I added trees around the layout. And then also ground covers of differing colors to go on top of the light green, kind of representing all the weeds and the changes in the foliage that you might see on the ground. Used coarse turf, some underbrush, and bushes to build that up and give it a little bit more realistic look. Then also there were some areas where I glued down some static grass. Now here's a picture of the bar ditch that we have. Obviously we had to put some water down in there, and that's a 2-part epoxy. I used a product called Magic Water, and I know there's some others out there probably similar to it. Use that to fill in the channel, modeling the stagnant stormwater runoff. We were also able to add a little bit of paint color to it, either kind of a murky green to give it a kind of a murkier look that you might see in some of these kind of Western Oklahoma scenes where it has water in it. We don't have clear water like they might in Missouri or other places out in the Rockies. Then we lined the ditch with coarse turf and underbrushes and bushes, again, woodland scenics. And then I also lined it with these grasses through here. These are grasses that you can get on this sheeting that you can peel off, whatever size batch of grass you want, and then glued it to the surface. Kind of gives the look of cattails and stuff like that you might see down near the bottom of the bar ditches. Now, the bar ditch also has some bridge work that we did. Have 2 trestle bridges for the railroad tracks, one here and another one here. And then we also have a bridge that I made out of extruded styrofoam that I carved. Also used the extruded styrofoam on the bridge abutments for the trestle bridge, as well as the automobile bridge down here or on the top. Now, the wood trestle looks something like this. Mine's a little shorter than the one that I show up here, but I made that out of some custom, or I made it custom-wise out of some basswood that's just hobby wood that you can get at like Hobby Lobby, and stained it kind of I think I stained it a brown color and then hit it with another stain of black to give it kind of a creosote type look to it. And then I hit it with some oil pastels to weather it, some browns and tans to make it look a little bit more realistic and old. Then I threw in some dead tree debris down here at the bottom there that's stacking up against the railroad trestle. And also we got a little safety cone that we were able to find and throw on to the module that I thought was kind of a fun addition. Now, as far as the trees, I think I've done a presentation once before on trees, but if any of you might remember, I actually use Western sagebrush that I harvest out in Colorado, and I got some from Wyoming also. It's a very, very hardy, tough wood. So if you brush up against it, it's not going to necessarily just snap off or anything. It's pretty flexible. But we spray glued some woodland scenics underbrush to the armatures to make them look real. And you might note that I did use some darker and then lighter colors on top of that to provide a depth and a shading of the trees. Okay, now we have a picture of the actual Oscar Eaton grain elevator. This photo I took back in 2022 when I just happened to be passing through town. The elevator was built in 1918, and it's abandoned for some time. I couldn't find all the history on that to give that kind of detail. But as you can see, it's been there for quite some time. It's been heavily rusted and in disrepair. I guess you can't feel it's really held up pretty darn well for having been out there for over 100 years. And you're out there in western Oklahoma where you have the thunderstorms coming through and tornadoes and high winds and hail and stuff like that. So only a few parts of it look, you can see down here on that far building were damaged. I also want to point out some signage that's on the side of the building right here that's got the name of the elevator, and another one right here on the end of this building, and you'll see why in a minute. Anyway, we wanted to actually model this thing looking like it was back in the 1960s era. And because of that, we didn't want it to look all damaged and rusted out like it is today. So we didn't weather it as much as what we would need to if we wanted it to look like it was sitting there today. Now you got I call them the grain elevation towers. Those are the towers they haul the grain up into and then distribute out to these different facilities. Anyway, we got those painted a rust color. One of the things I would recommend for doing that is Vallejo Paints has a rusting kit that has about 5 or 6 paint colors in it that you can layer on that really gives a good realistic appearance of rust. And then we also have some dirt stains that you can see I've got circled here. Used some Tamiya weathering pastels. Again, I got that at Hobby Lobby, but they work very, very, very well for adding some of these kind of details of the rust and the dirt streaks and things like that. Might even want to use them on your train engine too if you need to make it look like it's in need of a shop wash. Here's another picture we took outside of our module, the elevator section, and you can see a little better the detail of what the weathering that we did on this particular set of buildings. We also had the name of the elevator and this grain and feed sign here that's on the end of the building. We wanted to duplicate that as best we could, and I believe it was Bruce Alcock that was able to find some fonts on his computer and print these off. Then we were able to actually glue those to the edge of the building and then weathered it to make it look somewhat like the actual signs. Okay, the fine detail here that you might see or take note of is the dumpster over here on the bottom right-hand corner. We've got a little bit of refuse that didn't quite make it into the dumpster laying around the edges of it, and the dump truck or the garbage truck here, it looks like it's pretty darn loaded. The ramp here going up into the elevator here, you can see some tire tracks on it. And then obviously the truck itself has some wheat or some kind of grain in it that's going up in there. This is a little side yard, railroad yard, where they're just storing some supplies. Got a pile of rails over here on the side that we were able to take some actual flex track and cut it to the equivalent of a 39-foot length and rest them and lay them down there. We also have a couple pallets of brand new railroad ties that might soon be used. Also, the pile of ballast is here. You might note that the slopes on the side of the ballast are rather gentle. You do not want to create a pile and have it exceed the angle of repose. It just doesn't look very realistic at all. Another thing on this particular side yard are these old used railroad ties that they threw off to the side. Those were actually made out of 1/16 by 1/16 hobby wood that I stained and weathered. Easy, that it's almost the perfect size for railroad ties. Okay, on the excuse me, on the side of the buildings there and in some of the gravel areas, you do have weeds growing up on the edges of the buildings and in the gravel. So we added a few places like that just to make it look a bit more realistic. The Sayre farm supply that we have down on the far left side of the module has a kind of a reddish gravel parking lot. Very typical color since Western Oklahoma has the red dirt in it. Got the tractors and even a tow truck here that would be sitting out in the parking lot. Obviously, they're trying to sell the tractors, and maybe they'll get lucky and sell a few. The building here is a building that came as a member of the kit that Walthers supplied us. And it was very typical of the type of buildings that you might see out in Western Oklahoma for that type purpose. Now there's the railroad station. You can see a little better detail on that. We've got the baggage carts sitting out here. Got a phone booth right on the corner. Obviously the name of the railroad station sitting up here on the top, and then we've got a telephone pole with some telephone, or not telephone lines, but those are electrical lines, and you got a transformer right here that we were able to put on there that makes it look pretty darn good. I guess one thing I could point out is these telephone lines that I have on here. You got to kind of glue it between the telephone poles. But I found a string or a thread at Hobby Lobby that actually stretches. So if somebody actually kind of touches the top of one of those electrical lines, it'll kind of give a bit. If you don't have that, if it's just a regular piece of thread, it doesn't want to give, and it actually pulls on the telephone pole, and I've had several of them snap off because of that and have to redo them. So this flexible thread, stretching thread, works really, really well. Another set of details. Obviously, we got the billboard here that talks about the farm supply store that's across the street. You got your county Mountie police officer sitting here right behind the billboard, kind of laying in wait, and we got the requisite Route 66 sign here on the side of the road. And that is pretty much all I've got to really show you. You can see that roadway just keeps going off into the distance there, so that's the right angle to take that picture at. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to take them right now.
Any questions, anyone? Oh, really, really looks nice, Chuck. And the pictures are really good too.
Well, that's an interesting point that you bring up there, and it was something that we discovered when we were having to take pictures of this to submit. When we submitted this for the contest, and so we took it outside and took some pictures. Well, it was an overcast day, and we got some very nice pictures, no doubt about it. But then we decided there was a bit more work we had to do, so we took it back inside and worked on it and improved some more of the details. And then we took it back outside to take pictures of it again, and it was a bright, sunny day. This is the backboard over here behind the buildings, but on the upper left-hand corner of this picture, that's the sky. So you can see how close the sky color comes to the backboard. But the sun coming down on it threw shadows on it that just made it pop, I thought. Made it look a lot more realistic. So if you want to get a really good picture of your module, take it out on a sunny day and get a picture of it out there.
That's fantastic. Chuck, was it always was Sayre always just kind of a place along the way between somewhere and somewhere else, or did they have? I noticed I was looking at the map while you were talking. It's roughly about looks like it's roughly about halfway between Oklahoma City and Amarillo. So,
Well, that you are correct there. Yeah, it was just a place along the way. I did not learn enough about the history of the railroad that went through there. This Choctaw, Oklahoma, and Gulf Railroad. But I think it eventually was bought out by Frisco.
The Rock Island.
Rock Island, right?
The
Rock Island. I'm sorry, you're right.
On the
Correct.
line between Oklahoma City and Amarillo and then Tucumcari.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm
right.
guessing that they did a lot of grain and farm type business on the railroad there that they stopped in Sayre for.
Yeah, I was just curious as to whether or not, if you sort of think back to the steam days, that there's no evidence that that would have been a like a division point in between those two
No.
cities.
I think it was just a through.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a place along the track that went through, and probably had some passenger traffic on there too.
Fantastic.
At one time, there was a goal that there should be a railroad depot within 1 day's wagon drive of every farm,
Yeah,
which is why you have all of the branch lines out throughout the Midwest, so that the farmers could get to the town and unload their grain at the local railhead.
fantastic. Yeah. Well, it's a great story, a great module, a really interesting place. It's not.
Yeah,
I'm not as
I didn't mention it. Maybe Bruce did. We ended up winning that contest, and to be quite honest, I was shocked. But
Well, I'm not, given all the detail that you have on there. I can imagine. It's a very good module. I think it would have been a better story if you'd have modeled Sayre, Pennsylvania instead, but that's just me. So what the hell? All good. Well, thank you very much, Chuck. Really interesting.
you bet.
All right, on to our last thing, and don't forget we have a poll at the top of the hour, and that's Talking T-TRAK with Terry Moore. I'm sure we got a video coming up here.
Yes, we do. Just a moment. So we will go ahead and pull up Verify. We have here, open. Go.
Welcome to Talkin T-TRAK. This month we're going to talk about living with Steve Jackson's junction. This is very basic T-TRAK. This is a Steve Jackson junction, a 597 millimeter long straight with two 90-degree 282 millimeter radius corners. It's a perfect companion for standard T-TRAK corners. This is T-TRAK with Steve Jackson's junctions. The longer the primary loop, the more junctions can be added, creating more inner loops. This is what Steve Jackson's junctions made possible. This is the last layout I saw for Chattanooga. Doing the math. Now, 282 millimeter radius corner plus 33 millimeter track spacing plus another 282 millimeter track corner equals the 597 millimeter junction track length. A double, depending how you create it. I create mine with a 62, a 248, a 248, and a 62 is 620 millimeters long. So, 597, the junction track length, minus a pair of 248s, which is used to create this track length, leaves a 101 millimeter junction adjustable track length. That's the adjustable piece that was originally used to create the junction track length. So now Cato has added 38 millimeter long straight track pieces. So a 62 plus a 38 gives you 100 for a total of 596 millimeters of junction track length, 1 millimeter short. If you use a 64 and a 38, you get 102 millimeters for a total of 598, making the junction track length 1 millimeter longer. So, if you have a pair of junctions end to end, a pair of doubles minus a pair of junctions equals 46 millimeters, which is the length of the optional paired junction filler if you don't want to use junction length straights. Cato has a 45.5 millimeter, that's what they called it at first, track piece. Living with Steve Jackson's junctions, there are two ways of accommodating the junctions in a T-TRAK layout. One, 597 millimeter long junction length straight modules, or a 45.5 millimeter long straight piece of track when you have a pair of end-to-end junctions. Junction length straights do not need to be opposite the junctions, but only need to be included in the opposite side of the loop. The 45.5 millimeter track pieces do not need to be right next to the pair of junctions, but only need to be included in that side of the loop. Up in the top left-hand corner is another application of the 45 millimeter straight track piece, or two junction length straight modules could be used in the top row of modules. The photograph on the right, you have a choice. You can either just simply use a pair of 45 millimeter track pieces on the left, or if you want to get creative and make your layout prettier, you can make a mini module. Fill that gap. The diagrams below basically don't really show much except the optional use of the 38 millimeter track piece and the fact that the 1 millimeter differences between the original need for a 101 millimeter set adjustable piece, 1 millimeter is just a hiccup. It doesn't really matter. And for those of you that don't like the adjustable track piece, you can pick whichever option you either have track for or you want to use. Now, junction length straights are legal in the T-TRAK standards, as are any non-standard length modules. They can be used in a spine up on the top, where there's no need to equate the length of a parallel track, or on opposite sides of a loop, maintaining equal length loop sides, and when necessary, the 45 millimeter track piece can be used with two end-to-end junction length straights to equal the two doubles on the other side. Now, all of that depends on the makeup of your layout. So, since you're able to move the junction length straights around, you can accommodate various module lengths or those long module sets. Now, suppose you only have a single junction. A single junction is 23 millimeters shorter than a double module. Way too much of a correction fudge factor. If a single 597 millimeter junction length straight is not available, you can add a 29 millimeter straight piece to the length will be 6 millimeters long. A lot easier to try to accommodate. But absolute perfection would be a 29 millimeter piece, or whatever you happen to have, cut to 23 millimeters in length. The various photos here gives you a true idea of just what those lengths mean and the corrections required. Now, Talkin T-TRAK. It's been almost 5 years since I started doing this. This is not all of them. Over the past 5 years, I hope you found Talkin T-TRAK informative, inspiring, and entertaining. Some of the more, shall we say, memorable Talkin presentations were, among others, my large module sets presentation, which was originally inspired by NRail's Bruce Alcock's Facebook posted challenge to adopt N-Scale Architect's new ORDOC models to T-TRAK. I added the idea of a waterfront grain elevator to my development presentation. The ORDOC on the right was a friend's N-TRAK ORDOC, which was built from a Cars Hobbies, a Duluth hobby shop, kit. It became this T-TRAK module. My T-TRAK module tester was actually a personal challenge to create a tester without 21st century technology, except for the red and green LED bulbs. Computer programming ability not required. And I had a little fun with some brass fittings and stuff. Living with large junctions. In one of my early presentations, Can of Worms, I addressed the several different large junction designs available from module-based producers and how they weren't totally compatible with large radii corners in the way that the Jackson junction is compatible with standard corners. So, I created this design with an optional double crossover to increase operational interest. The run-through track between the two curves is the most important feature of any of the large junction designs. But, in order to create the perfectly compatible with large corners, large junctions, modelers were cutting the 447 millimeter radius trackage from the double track 447 480 millimeter radii curves for use in their large junctions, removing the all-important run-through track. And the diamond junction was developed from my large junction design. Again, fully compatible with large corners and junctions, and actually quite a lot of fun. I'm not promoting what T-TRAK should be, only trying to show what T-TRAK could be. T-TRAK in its original N scale has been evolving since day one 25 years ago. Modelers have been creating larger corners, larger modules, and extremely detailed displays, and Steve created his junction. Standard corners and straight modules are still the backbone of our N-scale T-TRAK format. Evolution is good, or we'd all still be driving Model Ts. But T-TRAK has two outstanding problems. One, the need for and supplying of tables, especially now since many of our venues require us to rent tables if we don't supply our own. And the constant need to rewire our layouts every time because our modules do not have their own individual buswork. So, as I close the curtain on Talkin T-TRAK, I wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and many enjoyable years of N-scale model railroading, even if it's not T-TRAK. Talkin T-TRAK. Thanks for watching all those years.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks to Terry for all that work, an enormous amount of work and investment over these many years. And I'm sure lots of people have gotten a lot out of it. So thanks a lot to Terry. Okay, the poll is up for December. And while you're filling that out, if anybody has a comment or a question, you're free to take the mic.
Somebody asked about plans for a T-TRAK tester, and I believe there was one in one of the newsletter issues, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
I don't know offhand which one, but if you go through newsletter issues and do a search, you might be able to find it that way. I know that there have been at least two versions of it.
All right.
There's another comment here. I'm not sure I understand something about wasn't tram start. N-TRAK was started by Jim Fitzgerald in the 70s. And then T-TRAK was started by Lee Monaco Fitzgerald in 2001. Well, actually 2000, but the first appearance was 2001. So, if there are any other questions or comments, you're always welcome to send an email to zoomtrak@nrail.org.
Excellent.
And
Looks like that's what we got here.
I hope we get everybody filling out the surveys, because we do read them. We do see what you have to say, what suggestions you have. We can't always follow through 100%, but we try.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. Bruce, looks like a wrap for December. So I'm going to say thank you again for coming and spending some time with us on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll be right back at it in the new year on ZoomTRAK by NRail.